coming on today. So we worked together a little while ago and we did some bloods, but why don't you talk about what was the reason that you came to me in the first place?
I think there was a couple of reasons. There was two main ones. The first one was I was having quite a few bloating and gut issues. Every time that I would eat certain foods, I would bloat. I'd feel bloated constantly during the day. And the other one was just feeling quite lethargic and a lot of brain fog. Because obviously I'm fairly busy. Got a few different businesses that I'm working through as CEO in, and it is super important for me to be cognitively at the best that I can be, and I just wasn't. I was foggy, I was tired, I was bloated, I was just everything that I didn't want to be. So I came to an expert.
Thanks, mate. So yeah, no, you did really well through the process. And what I loved about what you did is, with everything you do, like you say, you're a business owner, you're a CEO. So, what I really like about working with people like yourself is that you embrace the process so well.
Mm.
And you asked lots of questions, which is great because you wanted to make sure you were doing it right. And I knew as soon as I started working with you that you would give it your absolute best shot. So what was the hardest thing about the process for you, would you say?
I mean, is there one hard thing? I mean, it was adjusting to the amount of vitamins that I was having. I was like, "Whoa, that was intense." Because the main reason for that behind that is I'm a real wimp when it comes to taking tablets. I have one and I gag. So having, you know, 8 to 15 at every meal, it was pretty entertaining for my family to see that. But I think just adjusting for that initial stage was just adjusting to being hungry all the time, because I was just so used to, if I'm hungry, right, bang, eat something that was going to fill me, give me some carbs, give me something that, or give me some sugar. So adjusting to diet and having to go through that period of 3 to 4 weeks of just feeling quite shit, to be honest, that was a challenge.
Yeah, sure. And going through the protocol, what was the first things you started to notice in terms of improvements as you went through the protocol?
Definitely energy levels, for sure. I wouldn't feel tired when I woke up. I wouldn't feel that afternoon slump, and I wouldn't have that, just that pause in my mind when I think, oh, I want to get up and go for a walk, or I want to get up and go for a run or train or do some work. Normally, I would have that, oh, but wouldn't it just be easier to sit here and watch TV? And I'm like, you're right, let's do that. Where when I really got into the protocol, I was like, no fucking way, let's go out, let's do this. I've got the energy to burn. Let's do this, let's do that. So energetically, I just found myself at ease doing things more, not even having to question it or double guess myself. I was just like, yeah, bang, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
So getting myself more, gave me more of a active lifestyle without feeling tired doing it or tired afterwards.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was one of the big things for me, and I harp on about this a lot, and it's the gut brain axis, right? Like a lot of
Mm.
people just associate gut issues with bloating and IBS and things like that. But actually, as you talk about, a lot of it is cognitively, and we don't actually realize that we have
Mm.
those issues until we kind of fix it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, for me anyway, it was kind of like a light switch went on. It was like, oh my God, I can think clearly now, and everything is more linear. Whereas before it was kind of, everything was a little bit jumbled, and particularly with yourself as well, because what we dealt with was some yeast issues.
Yeah.
So with yeast issues, that does manifest a lot of the time as anxiety, but it's also going to manifest as lethargy, brain fog, just like you talked about then. So what would you say, if you had to narrow it down to one thing, what would you say was the most profound change that you had going through the protocol when you finished the protocol?
Uh, um, Again, it's really hard to just sum that up into one, because there's so many changes and so many different benefits that I gained throughout the whole thing. Self-control is self-control and discipline and commitment. They're probably three that really stand out, because they're three things that you have got to learn pretty fast to do this properly. And for me, getting into this, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to do it properly, and I wanted to go all into it to make sure that I got the best results that I could. And to do that, I had to really commit myself into this and be very disciplined and make sure that I did it, because it's, there was times where we were out for dinner and we went away as a family to Noosa, and everyone's out for dinner, and I'm eating, pretty basic and pretty bland food, and everyone's having wine and drinks and desserts. And, at that point, it's easy to say, you know what, I'll just give myself the night off. But I had to stay really disciplined. And probably that is one of the biggest benefits, is learning that, controlling your mindset and being super disciplined and focused, you can achieve anything. But they're the triggers that you need to really turn on for yourself.
Mm. And I love, I know you're a big fan of David Goggins as well, and Jack Willink, actually, I think said this, but he talks about discipline equals freedom, right? And I think as human beings, we crave, I know I definitely do, we crave, that discipline and, that routine. For me, like, I love routine, and I'm at my happiest when I have that routine, like set wake times, set, routine, bedtime routine, wake up routine. Like, for me, that is freedom, and I imagine you probably, when you can get in your meditations at certain time, and when we are consistent with those things, and, our bedtime's not fluctuating. I think that's a massive thing, right? For most people.
Yeah, totally. And the benefit, and that's, one of the things that I didn't ever realize that I got to a point to when I had finished the protocol and I was feeling so good. And then I was reading some Dr. Joe books. And I was like, how come I don't get up at 5:30 in the morning? That seems like a great time to get up and get so much more done. So I started getting up at 5:30, and it was fantastic. Like, I would get, half an hour meditation in. I would get, some gratitude journaling, some normal journaling, some breath work in, do a workout. And it was 7:30. I'm like, shit, I've just smashed out so much stuff. And it's, I wouldn't have got to that point if it wasn't going through the protocol, because I was just waking up like, bang, yes, I'm ready to go. My eyes are open. What can I do?
Yeah.
And it's, having that, like you said, being systemized and regimented and disciplined, and having that discipline in your life to create those amazing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, talking about work and stuff like that, when it came to how you performed at work, how do you feel like the protocol helped you perform better at work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, it just lifted a lot of fog. So I wasn't trying to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit. So I was able to just focus on one task at a hand, because I think, multitasking is it's the killer of all productivity. So having a clear mind, I was able to just think, hang on, no, I need to focus on this, move from this to that when I'm ready. So just that part, but also too, having the energy to be able to put into everything I was doing and not being, half-assed about it was huge.
And then also physically as well, did you notice any difference physically at the gym? Did you notice your strength get any better?
Initially, I felt weak as like a 5-year-old kid. But once I, got through that hard stage, and I got through the die-off, which Chris, you obviously explained that to me really beautifully, and that was a memorable part of the treatment, but a very necessary part. But after that, I felt like just endurance. I could just train for longer. I didn't feel puffed and tired afterwards. I was just, I'd do a good hour session in the gym, and I'd be ready to go for a run or for a walk. So definitely strength-wise and just endurance for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and that's little tweaks as well, you know, when it comes to that kind of stuff, like little tweaks in the macros, like getting the protein, because I find most clients, they're just not eating enough protein. And when we tweak that and we get them up to eating enough protein, like straight away, they notice a massive difference in their strength and in their endurance and cognitively as well, which is really cool. What would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence and thinking about going through a protocol? What would you say to them now, going through what you've gone through?
I would say don't sit on the fence, just do it. And when you do it, just give it your all. You know, like just devote yourself to it. It's only depends how long the protocol is going to be for, but it's not for life, but it is life changing. It's absolutely life changing, and you've got to be willing to change and go on that journey. So if you're, just commit to it and get into it. Just do it for a better life, 100%.
Love it, mate. Love it. Thank you, brother. I'll stop recording now. Is it? If I can work it out.